All right. Welcome to the deep dive
Yeah.
today.
Right.
We're going to look at something you might not think about every day,
Right.
the global Weighbridge market.
Interesting.
Now, you might be thinking, Weighbridges, really?
Yeah. And not
Well,
the most exciting topic in
but
there.
stick with us
Yeah.
because when you think about how much we rely on accurate weight measurement
Yeah.
across just so many different industries,
Yeah.
from, the stuff we buy in the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
to like the
Mm-hmm.
construction of buildings and bridges and all these things,
Yeah.
you start to realize that,
Yeah.
this seemingly niche area
Oh,
is
yeah.
actually a pretty significant part
Yeah.
of the global economy.
A surprisingly large market.
So
Yeah.
to help guide our exploration today, we have a really insightful report. It's called the Weighbridge Market Report 2025 Global Edition.
Great report.
And this is from Cognitive Market Research.
Yeah. They do great work.
And it's packed with data and projections,
Yeah.
all based on their analysis as of January of this year, 2025.
Really up-to-date stuff.
So, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
What's the headline here?
Yeah.
What did this report tell us about,
Yeah. Yeah.
where the Weighbridge market is now
Right.
and where it's headed?
Okay. So the big number
Yeah.
is that the global Weighbridge market is projected to hit 514.5 million USD
Wow.
in 2025.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They're forecasting a pretty significant leap to 192.51 million USD by 2033.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, that translates to a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 5%
Okay.
from 2025 onwards.
So we're talking,
Yeah.
a multi-billion-dollar market
Huge market.
with some serious momentum behind it.
A lot of growth potential.
So for you listening, our goal in this deep dive is to really unpack this report and, pull out the really key insights.
The important stuff.
We want to understand, who the major players are.
Yeah.
What are the big trends that are shaping this market and how things differ across the globe. So think of this as your fast track to understanding the dynamics of this,
Yeah.
Unexpectedly vital market.
More important than people think.
So let's start with that overall global picture.
Okay. Yeah.
We just said
Yeah.
that the market size is expected to hit 514.5 million USD in 2025.
That's right.
And the projection is to climb to 592.51 million USD by 2033.
Yep.
Fueled by that 5% annual growth.
Yeah. Steady growth.
Now, it's worth noting the time frame here, 2024, was the base year for all of this data.
Right.
And the report looked back at 2021 to 2024 for historical context.
Yeah. To give us some background.
And then the forecast stretches out to 2033.
So a good look into the future.
So we've got like a solid 8-year window into, the future of Weighbridges.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Now, I'm always interested in how these big global numbers break down geographically.
Yeah. Regional analysis is key.
What does the report tell us about
Right.
which regions are currently leading the way and where we can expect to see the most growth
Yeah, where the action is.
in the coming years?
Okay, so this is where we start to see some interesting nuances.
Okay.
Looking at the 2025 market size,
Yeah.
North America holds the largest slice of the pie,
Okay.
accounting for over 40%
Wow.
of the global revenue,
Oh, okay.
with a market size of 1,405.8 million USD.
So they're really dominating.
Yeah, they're the big players.
Okay.
However, their projected growth rate,
Mm-hmm.
that CAGR we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
is a bit more moderate
Okay.
at 3.2%
All right.
from 2025 to 2033.
Okay, so still growth.
Still growth, yeah,
But
but not as explosive as some other regions.
not as fast as some other places.
Right.
Okay.
Within North America.
Yeah.
The United States is the dominant force.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Big country.
It's estimated at 1,109.18 million USD in 2025,
Wow.
with a slightly lower KGR of 3%.
Okay.
Canada comes in next
Uh-huh.
with 168.70 million USD
Okay.
and a 4% CAGR,
Right.
followed by Mexico
Uh-huh.
with 127.93 million USD
Okay.
and a 3.7% CAGR.
So that makes sense given the sheer scale of industrial and logistical operations in North America.
That's a huge market.
What are the main engines driving this?
Right, good question.
Market dominance there.
So the report points to a few key factors in North America.
Yeah.
First, a well-established industrial and logistics sector.
Yeah,
Think about the vast transportation networks and manufacturing industries, which naturally rely heavily on precise weight measurements.
It's got to be accurate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are also strong government regulations across various sectors and a significant amount of both international and domestic trade.
So those regulations are really pushing that need for accuracy.
Definitely. Compliance is key.
Okay.
And finally, there's a growing trend of adopting automation.
Oh, interesting.
In weighing processes.
Okay.
So, this dominance really highlights how established and regulated industries are in North America, where accurate weighing has been a priority for a longer time, creating a large existing market.
Right. So they're kind of ahead of the curve in some ways.
Yeah, you could say that.
All right. So North America is the current, heavyweight champion.
The leader.
What about Europe?
Okay, Europe.
How do they measure up?
So Europe is the second largest market,
okay,
accounting for over 30% of global revenue,
okay,
with a market size of 154.35 million USD in 2025.
All right.
Their projected CAGR, 2025 to 2033, is 3.5%.
Okay.
Let's look at some of the key players in Europe.
Oh.
The UK market is estimated at 177.13 million USD,
okay,
with a 4.3% CAGR.
All right.
While Germany is actually the largest in Europe.
Interesting.
At 208.76 million USD.
Wow.
And a 3.7% CAGR.
Okay.
France is looking at 97 million USD with a 2.7% CAGR.
Right.
And Italy at 90.67 million USD.
Right.
With a 2.9% CAGR.
So pretty similar numbers there.
Yeah, they're all in the same ballpark.
Okay.
Russia's market is estimated at 163.42 million USD.
All right.
With a 2.5% CAGR.
Oh, okay.
Spain at 86.46 million USD with a 2.6% CAGR.
Okay.
Then we have some smaller but still significant markets.
Yeah.
Like Luxembourg at 32.68 million USD. With a 3.6% CAGR.
Okay.
Portugal at 22.14 million with 3.3%. Right. And Greece at 12.65 million.
Okay.
With a relatively higher 3.8% CAGR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The rest of Europe combined is estimated at 163.42 million USD with a 2.2% CAGR.
So it seems like we're seeing more moderate, stable growth across most of Europe, with the UK and Germany leading the pack.
They're the powerhouses.
Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's a good summary.
Okay.
The growth in Europe is being supported by,
okay,
stringent regulatory compliance,
right,
particularly in the transportation and environmental sectors.
Yeah.
And then the expanding logistics sector.
Yeah.
Much of it driven by, the boom in e-commerce.
All that online shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is also a key factor. And like North America, we're seeing a greater uptake of these advanced digital Weighbridge systems across the continent.
So kind of following that trend.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so North America and Europe are the big players right now.
The established markets.
But I've got a feeling Asia Pacific might be the region to watch.
That's a good hunch.
In terms of future growth.
You're on the right track.
What does the report say?
You've hit on a key point.
Okay.
Asia Pacific currently holds around 23% of the global market share.
Okay, so not insignificant.
No, not at all.
Okay.
With a market size of 808.34 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
But its projected CAGR from 2025 to 2033 is a very strong 7%.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, that's significantly higher than the more mature markets in North America and Europe.
Yeah.
Looking at the individual countries, China is the largest market in the region.
Makes sense.
At 339.5 million USD.
Huge.
With a 6.5% CAGR.
Okay.
Japan follows with 139.55 million USD and a 5.5% CAGR.
Yeah.
India stands out with a particularly high growth rate.
Yeah.
At 97 million USD.
Okay.
And an 8.8% CAGR.
Wow.
South Korea is at 80.83 million.
Okay.
With a 6.1% CAGR.
All right.
Australia at 42.03 million.
Uh-huh.
With a 6.7% CAGR.
Okay.
Southeast Asia as a whole.
Yeah.
At 55.78 million.
Okay.
With an impressive 8% CAGR.
Wow, so Southeast Asia is really taken off.
Yeah, lots of growth potential there.
Okay.
Taiwan at 25.87 million.
Okay.
With a 6.3% CAGR.
Right.
And the rest of Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
At 55.78 million.
Okay.
With a 6.8% CAGR.
7%. That's, that really paints a picture of a region.
It does.
That's rapidly scaling up its industrial capabilities. That's significantly outpacing.
Yeah. That's
more established markets.
They're catching up quickly.
Those growth numbers in Asia Pacific are really striking.
They are.
Especially for India and Southeast Asia.
Yeah, they're the ones to watch.
What's fueling this rapid expansion?
Good question.
It's not just about more Weighbridges being bought.
It's more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
It suggests a fundamental shift in their industrial capabilities and trade volumes.
Absolutely.
So what's going on?
The report highlights rapid industrialization and urbanization across the region as major drivers.
So we're talking like, immense infrastructure projects.
Yeah, think about all the construction and the growth of manufacturing.
Yeah, so they need more of everything.
Exactly, and that includes weighbridges.
Okay.
And this is coupled with the expansion of key industries like logistics, mining, and construction.
Right.
All of which rely on accurate weighing.
Of course, yeah.
And as these economies develop, government regulations and standards are also becoming more stringent.
Right. So more rules.
More rules.
Means more need for
technology.
Exactly. All ties together.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. What about the other regions?
Okay, yeah.
Let's turn our attention to Latin America.
All right, Latin America.
What's going on down there?
Latin America holds over 5% of the global market share, with a market size of 175.73 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
And a projected CAGR of 4.4%.
All right, so healthy growth.
Yeah, steady growth.
From 2025 to 2033.
That's right.
Key countries in this region include Brazil, with a market size of 75.21 million USD and a 5% CAGR. Yeah. Argentina at 29.52 million with a 5.3% CAGR. So a little bit faster.
Yeah, slightly faster.
Colombia at 15.64 million with a 4.2% CAGR.
Okay.
Peru at 14.65 million with a 4.6% CAGR.
All right.
Chile at 12.65 million with a 4.7% CAGR. Yeah. And the rest of Latin America at 28.29 million with a 3.5% CAGR.
So a range of growth rates there.
What are the
primary factors, shaping the Weighbridge market in Latin America?
The growth here is being driven by increasing industrial and commercial activity.
Okay. So more business.
Yeah, more business activity.
Means more Weighbridges.
Exactly.
Okay.
Particularly in sectors like agriculture, mining, and logistics. And we talked about logistics earlier.
Right, yeah.
Many of these economies are also heavily reliant on exports of raw materials and agricultural products.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes accurate weight measurement essential for meeting international trade standards.
Got to keep those customers happy.
Absolutely. Accuracy is key.
Okay.
And infrastructure development is also playing an increasingly important role.
Oh, yeah. More infrastructure means
more need for weighbridges.
More weighbridges.
It all connects.
Okay. And finally, let's take a look at the Middle East and Africa.
Okay. The MEA region.
So what's the situation there?
The Middle East and Africa has a smaller market share.
Okay.
Around 2% of the global revenue. With an estimated market size of 70.29 million USD in 2025.
Okay.
And a projected CAGR of 4.7%.
So still decent growth.
Yeah, definitely.
From 2025 to 2033.
That's right.
Now, drilling down, the GCC countries are estimated at 30.08 million USD with a 5.5% CAGR.
Okay.
Egypt at 7.38 million with a 5% CAGR.
Right.
South Africa at 11.11 million with a 5.7% CAGR.
Okay.
Turkey at 6.04 million with a 4.2% CAGR.
All right.
Nigeria at 7.38 million with a 3.8% CAGR.
Okay.
And the rest of MEA at 8.29 million with a 3.7% CAGR.
So kind of a mixed bag there.
What are the key factors, propelling growth in this part of the world?
Similar to other developing regions, industrialization, particularly in construction and mining, is a significant driver.
So as these economies develop, they're going to need
more weighbridges.
The need to comply with international trade regulations.
Right, that's a big factor.
And the ongoing development of transportation and logistics infrastructure.
All contributing to growth.
We're also boosting the demand.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got a solid understanding now of the regional dynamics.
Yeah, we've covered the world.
Now, the report also segments the market in several other interesting ways.
Yeah, it gets pretty granular.
Let's dive into that.
All right, let's go deeper.
What are the key market segments?
Okay.
And what trends are we seeing within them?
So the report looks at the market from multiple angles.
Okay.
First by type.
Okay, type of weighbridge.
Yeah, so we see that digital weighbridges are not only the dominant segment currently, but are also projected to experience the fastest growth.
Interesting.
So this is largely because of their enhanced accuracy, the ability to integrate with automated systems, and their capacity to provide real-time data and reports.
So they're much more sophisticated.
Definitely. Think of it like upgrading from an analog scale that you have to read carefully to a digital one that not only shows the exact weight, but can also automatically record it in a database.
Right. So much more efficient.
Yeah, that's the kind of efficiency and accuracy boost we're talking about.
So it's not surprising that that's the way things are moving.
Digital is the future.
While analog weighbridges still have a presence.
Yeah, they're still around.
The clear direction is towards digital.
Absolutely.
What about by category?
Okay, so in terms of category, standard weighbridges, those used for static weighing, hold the largest market share.
Okay, so those are the most common.
Yeah, you see them everywhere.
Due to their widespread use and cost effectiveness.
They're the workhorse of the industry.
For permanent installations.
Right.
However, the category experiencing the most rapid growth is in-motion/axle weighbridges.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Now, what are those?
So these systems allow for the weighing of vehicles while they are moving.
Oh, so they don't have to stop.
Exactly. Which significantly improves efficiency.
Oh, I can see how that would be helpful.
Especially in high traffic areas.
Yeah.
Like busy loading docks.
Right, where time is money.
Yeah, so we're talking about trucks. No longer needing to stop completely.
Right, so they can just keep rolling.
Yeah, keep things moving.
And that saves a lot of time.
Saves a lot of time and money.
Okay, so efficiency is always a major advantage.
Absolutely.
How about the structure type of these weighbridges?
Okay, so when we look at structure type, metal structures are currently the most common.
Okay, so like steel and things like that.
Yeah, primarily because of their durability.
Right.
And ability to handle heavy loads.
Gotta be strong.
Yeah, tough and durable.
And withstand tough environmental conditions.
They can take a beating.
Okay.
However, what's interesting is that concrete structures are the fastest growing segment.
So concrete is becoming more popular.
Yeah, it's gaining traction.
In this category.
They offer excellent long-term strength.
Right. So they can last a long time.
Very durable.
And require less maintenance over time.
Less upkeep, yeah.
Making them an increasingly attractive option.
Yeah, it's a good alternative.
Okay. So lower maintenance can be a big cost saver.
Yeah, in the long run.
What about how these weighbridges are installed?
Okay. Regarding installation, fixed weighbridges are the most prevalent.
All right, so the ones that are just in one place.
Put in place, yeah.
Okay.
Due to their high accuracy and suitability for long-term, high-volume use.
Yeah. So if you're going to be weighing things all the time.
Yeah, day in and day out.
In the same spot.
That's the way to go.
Okay.
However, portable weighbridges are seeing the fastest growth.
So the ones that you can move around?
Exactly. Flexibility is key.
Okay.
Their adaptability.
Yeah.
Ease of relocation.
Right. You can take them where you need them.
Exactly.
And quick setup.
Yeah, no hassle.
Make them ideal for, temporary sites.
Construction sites, for example.
Okay.
Construction projects. Or businesses that operate across multiple locations.
So if you're not always in the same place.
Yeah, if you're on the move.
Okay. The report also mentions pit and pitless installations
Right.
as alternative methods.
Different ways to do it.
For setting up fixed weighbridges.
Yeah. So you've got options.
Okay, portability definitely adds.
Yeah, it's a big advantage.
A lot of flexibility.
Okay.
Let's move on to capacity.
Okay, capacity.
How does the market break down based on...
Yeah, how much weight can they handle?
How much weight these bridges can handle.
So the dominant capacity segment is weighbridges designed to handle up to 50 tons.
All right, so that's like...
Yeah, a good mid-range.
The most common.
This range covers a broad spectrum of applications.
Across different industries.
Yeah, very versatile.
Okay.
However, the fastest growing segment is for weighbridges, with a capacity above 100 tons.
Wow. So the big ones.
The heavy hitters.
Okay.
This reflects the increasing demands from heavy industries.
Yeah, like mining and things like that.
Yeah, mining, large-scale logistics,
right,
and major construction projects.
So you're talking about like huge trucks and
massive equipment,
things like that
that need to be weighed accurately.
Of course, there's also a significant market